my coven. They ain't cuffing my club, they tugging. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I still kept it 100. Hola. Yeah.
Hello again. How are you? So, since we've seen each other about 2 weeks ago, you want to hear a great number? Well, if you haven't heard, I have this trade that works every time it shows up, and our number right now is 1,158 in a row in the last 4 years. Now, if you just said, "What the hell are you talking about?" I know it sounds crazy, right? But this setup continues to show up, and that's why earnings season is my favorite time to trade. Full disclosure, I don't own stocks. I don't. We've had a major breakthrough in my 30-year career today. I have finally decided this trade that I talk about works every time. It'll be the only trade I ever take. So it's a long story, but I'm gonna sum it up and then I'm gonna go. I have a trade that works every single time it shows up, like every time, right? Showed up about eight, 9 times today, and in the last 2 weeks, we've had 39 of them shown up, and obviously 39 have turned into profitable trades. Does that mean every trade we do works? Obviously not. That's why I'm telling you this story. This trade works every time. Everything else that I do personally, owning stocks, I can't own a stock to save my life. Swing trading, I'm the worst. Buying calls into earnings reports, worst trade you could possibly do, even though we tried it last night on Rambus. Everything else that I've attempted to do in the world of trading has been a fail, except this trade. And my problem all these years were I kept doing those other things, like shorting the Qs in a bull market. And I thought I learned my lesson back, and I spent 3 years shorting the market, and I lost every penny I made. And you've heard this story a bunch of times, but I've literally had to resurrect my career, and I'm in the process of resurrecting right now, because the one time the market actually did go down, I happened to be on the wrong side, and that was that UVXY short trade, and I was actually long the Qs at the time. So it's just like, I'm a loser. But what wins? It's not me personally. I've developed a trade that works. It's not me thinking. That's what's so special about this trade. It takes me personally and what I think out of the trade. You follow what I'm saying? Hold on a second. All right, you guys got the screen up, and you got my dumb looking face. All right. All right, so if you're listening to me closely, I just said I had a trade that worked over 1,000 times in a row over the last 4 years. Not bullshitting you. But every other trade I've done has been a loss. So it's taken me a long time to realize, hey, you know what? I've got something that works every single time. Everything else not only just doesn't not work, I usually lose on it. And they're usually terrible trades. And you would think it'd be an easy decision to only take the trade that works every time. Yeah. It's called an addiction. You see, back in 1998, or I guess 94, when I started really actively trading, I'd never seen anything like that. 95, 96, 90, into the .coms, DoubleClick, iOmega, all those, incubator stocks. Never seen anything like that. Nobody had. But because of my conservative nature, I had a feeling it was going to end terribly. And I started shorting stocks. And I started shorting stocks a little prematurely. And I was getting killed. And my mentor at the time explained to me what the dash for trash is. And this was February 2000 or February, I forgot what year, 2000, 2001, when we finally did roll over. And he explained to me that the stocks that were moving the most in that month of February were stocks that had no business even moving. There shouldn't even be any volume. And they were all ripping. bulletin boards, pink sheets, small caps, OTC kind of crap. And that's where this guy made his business in the 60s and the 70s. And he said, if these are the only stocks that are rallying right now, the market is going to crash any day. And he knew I was already getting my ass kicked, shorting some, I had a whole bunch of Broadcom short, Akamai short, some CMGI, JDSU, QQQ, all that stuff. He says, he was part owner of the company, so he knew very well that I was getting my ass kicked. He's like, it's going to be all right. Hang in there. I was like, really? Because I don't have much money left. And he's like, it's all going to work out. And I was like, all right, cool. And then we started cascading to the downside, and I held my shorts all the way basically to zero on a lot of these stocks. You guys know Crossroads, CRDS, my favorite symbol of all time, CRUDS, CRDS. You guys don't remember these stocks anyway. Global Crossing, all that nonsense. It was part of that. And, made close to $2 million. And since then, I've given that money back tenfold by shorting the Qs. Now, why am I addicted? Well, first of all, I had that glorious trade back 20-something years ago that I still think I'm going to relive that glory. No. And I went back in, 2012, 2013. Now, why did I start shorting the Qs then was, we had just come out of the Great Depression 2. And I just thought it was enough. I understood the government stepped in and saved the market. By the way, this is way back over here. And I thought this was a serious double top. And I started getting aggressively short. And it was working for a moment, as you see. And I kept adding because I thought we were going to roll over and go test those lows. Because I thought, all right, enough. The government stepped in. They saved the market. All right. So now we need to, digest those gains and possibly go test those lows. And I just kept fighting and fighting. Got my ass kicked here. Reloaded again. Got my ass kicked again. And just kept reloading and just kept getting my ass kicked on every attempt to sell off. That would be me shorting, getting annihilated. And I spent years doing that because I had an addiction problem. And my addiction was to keep going back to the losing trade to try to make the money back on that trade. It's a losing trade. Stop shorting the Qs. So for 3 years, I was also experimenting with VWAP at the time. And I was like, hey, you know what? These trades are working really well. These pivots and the fake outs and the VWAP breaks. And then I started noticing, hey, this trade that I always used to like, this reversal on earnings reports, you're getting a little heads up on the trade before it even happens. So let's fast forward to present day. The trade that I discovered worked really well in 97, 98, 99, that I lost my way and started shorting the market, blew my whole life up. I went right back to that trade. And I just started trading just the reversals back, stocks that would go green to red. And then by using VWAP exclusively with that trade, I started getting into these trades ahead of when I normally would get in. You follow what I'm saying? So normally I would short SoFi when it broke 30, the reversal part. Now I'm shorting at $30, $31 ahead of the reversal because VWAP's telling me that I'm onto something ahead of the reversal. And that's why it's the 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal trade. So if you get through the 1 minute and a prior day VWAP and then you go negative, 100% of the time for the last 4 years, you're getting a follow-through trade. But now, because of VWAP and how important it is, all you need is the 1 minute VWAP break to get this party started. So let's talk about this Rambus trade. So if you guys are watching me on some of my videos and my TikToks or YouTube, I'm very passionate about Rambus. Nobody knows about the stock. I like the fact that not many people know about it. I love it. And to me, it's the MU. It's the forgotten MU cousin. It's the cousin of MU. Micron Technology. And because the semiconductors are the glue of the space, rockets, robots, quantum AI trade, right? Space, rockets, robots, quantum AI need to be powered by the chips and RAM and DRAM, and that's what Rambus does. Rambus, if you guys have been trading as long as I have, used to be one of the most important stocks on earth. And if you guys go back and you look at this chart, and by the way, did anybody buy BTQ on that news at $9? I hope you did. So here is a weekly. And you know what? I'll put it on a monthly just to show you the whole entire lifespan of this stock. There she blows. You guys see it? So what we call this, and again, this was the back in the 90s. This is 97 to 2000. This is the sickest stock ever. Everybody loved it. It was Rambus and Qualcomm. Intel and Microsoft were the kings. And then the stock crashed. Had a couple of rallies, and then it went dormant. That dormancy, or that meandering around, is what we call the Andy Dufresne. Andy Dufresne is a reference from the movie Shawshank Redemption. As Andy's working his way through that pipe of shit to make his way under the prison and come out to my friend Andy at Say Wataneo. So when they come out of the Andy Dufresne pattern, they run! Because they're running for freedom. And this pattern's been working, like I said, forever. But then I started using it exclusively with multiple time frame VWAP. So if you're going Andy and you come out of a long extended VWAP, that confirms that you're coming out of that pattern and you should be long. And we had a shit ton of fun with some Rambus. Buying it at 15, 22.50, I got the 35, little Diparuski, and we held it into this noise, even got paid up to like 55. Here's where we thought it was about to break out and it rolled over and I wound up selling it. And I haven't owned it since. And I've been a big fan, but the stock was really not doing anything until the runaway bull market of 2025, where Rambus got back into the good graces of the algos. And it was on its way to all-time highs. On its way to all-time highs. 25-year high. And if you haven't noticed, every stock that has broke all-time highs in 2025 has gone 2 or 3x after the fact. I was thinking, hey, I got to buy back into this stock. So now let's talk about the dumbest trade you could possibly do, the worst trade you'll ever do. By far, there is no bad, other than shorting the Qs over an extended period of time. The second runner-up, actually, I'd put this into the number one category. The number one trade you will lose money on is buying an option on a stock that's just about to report earnings. So I'm talking about 4 p.m. Rambus is about to report at 4:15. The most expensive the call will ever be is at 3:59, moments before they report, because you have the unknown. It's at its most volatile. So why is buying options into an earnings report the worst trade you could possibly do? First of all, you're guessing. You have no idea how the market's going to react to whether they're good or bad earnings. First of all, you don't know if they're good or bad. Second, you don't know how the stock's going to react. But third of all, the third reason you're going to be a loser is because you're overpaying for the option. As I just described, the most expensive time to buy an option is at 3:59 and 59 seconds right before they report. So even if you're right, you have to compensate for the amount of money that you got ripped off for on that option. So you're a 3-time loser. Why do the trade? Correct. Don't. So why did we do it yesterday? Fear of missing out. Because the stock All rational thought says it's susceptible to a sell-off no matter how good the numbers are because it's rallied close to 300% into the report. But you know why we did it? Well, I did it to kind of prove a point that it doesn't work. So I bought myself a call spread. I bought the 115, 155. Big call spread, right? I basically risked 6 points to try to make myself 30 points. So I bought one 115 for 850, and I sold two 155s for $1 each. So if it expires worthless, what am I out? The one contract cost me $850. I took in $200. Worst case scenario, I'm out $650. Stock goes to zero, out $650. That's it. Completely defined the trade. I had to be in it because the fear of missing out overwhelmed me. But as I described this trade as a losing trade, probably won't work. I'm going to do it anyway because if it would have gapped above all-time highs, it probably would have kept going and going and going and going. And I wanted to have a little part of it. Fast forward to reality. What is the reality? We trade stocks. Wait, I got an alert. GSIT, buy it. Just about to go green. GSIT. Yesterday this thing went green and ripped 2.5 points. Hang on a second. GSIT. Hang on a second. We got a wall as a 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. Whole number. All right. That's a good sign. I wasn't planning on putting on a trade right now, but I do like myself a reversal. And yesterday this trade paid us 2 points in about 9 seconds, which was pretty exciting. And hopefully we get kind of a similar result right now. Big size at 25, that's good. That's usually a buyer. 12.25, hopefully that guy's a buyer. Oh, did my computer just freeze? I'm having some internet issues. Now, I didn't get really aggressive on this, but I'm required by law to buy any reversal. See, there's the faux show. There's the VWAP break. Now, if I was paying attention, I'd be in the stock right here. 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. I just bought a smidgen, as $11.99. Not going crazy because I'm a little bit late, but again, this trade worked out pretty well for us yesterday. Not going crazy. And first area of concern is basically the orange line. So, all right, I got a little bit. If it dips to 11.72 and holds, that's when I'll make a little bit of a stand. But this BTQ, if anybody put that on when I mentioned it, I just had it on the news wire. There was some news on it, and then it just gave the whole move back. Faux-Show-Bro, 1 minute multi-day VWAP reversal. So the trades, like I said, they keep finding us. Idea generation is easy. We've had over, 22 trades today, and they just keep coming. Open, we traded Beyond, BTQ, now GSIT. Every earnings report that's come out, we had a little piece of. So let me go back to this Rambus trade. I didn't mean to interrupt and put a trade on, but I'm kind of required by law to trade every reversal I see. And again, I didn't buy a lot because I chased. So, but if it goes to 1170, I'll make a stand. I got 300 shares. No, I'm not overly concerned. So back to the Rambus, right? So I bought an option because I needed to be in, right? Fear of missing out is exactly what it was. I can't let this thing break all-time highs without me being involved. So I put aside the idea that that's the worst possible trade, right? It legitimately is the worst trade you could do, but I did it anyway. Now fast forward to this morning. I got a trade that works every time. You say you got a trade that works every time, yeah. And it's on that stock. But that stock's, we're getting killed on that stock. I know. Good thing we only bought that one option. But then the next morning you say, oh my God, look what happened to our Rambus. Ooh, woo. Absolute destruction. But then a Faux-Show-Bros breaks VWAP. And then a Faux-Show-Bros and breaks VWAP. And then a Faux-Show-Bros and tests VWAP. And then a Faux-Show-Bros and holds VWAP. And then a Faux-Show-Bros and breaks VWAP and breaks the high today, and then you buy it. And then all that misery of you looking at that call spread in your wife's account, that's where I put all my losing trades, by the way. my wife's retirement account is fucking ruined. Little does she know. Why am I laughing? When she finds out, I'm a dead man. Oh man, she has no idea. Don't tell my wife. But you come in and you got that trade that works every time, and it's on the stock that we came in looking to buy, and then I hesitated. I shouldn't have hesitated, but I wound up buying 100. I made my 250, and I paid for the dumb option trade right there. And then I had another opportunity to do it here. Faux-Show-Bro, VWAP break, blue line to the orange line. Blue line to the orange line. So this, my friends, is what I explained to you, and I affectionately call this the rigging of the market. Because it is rigged to price. And what price is the most important price intraday trading? VWAP. Why? Because algorithms, quant firms, humans, everybody's using it more and more, and now it's become a self-fulfilling prophecy. We know that. So we come back in and we say, all right, we might be getting hammered on that call spread. All right, whatever. But it just did a Faux-Show-Bro VWAP break. Buy it. And instead of losing 400 and well, now it's at I'm losing $400 and $390.34 on the call spread. You're buying the stock here on the gap down because it broke VWAP, and you're getting paid 12 points. A lot better. Why are we buying GSIT? Let me show you. GSIT is one of these bullshit stocks that I've been trading for the last couple of weeks. I just noticed it did the 1-minute multi-day VWAP reversal. I'm required by law to do the trade. I have to put the trade on. Literally. These are the only trades I'm going to take from now on. So on no matter what it is. So even if it's open, which was awesome. 1-minute multi-day VWAP reversal. Got paid. Woohoo. And then it's over. It's back under the VWAP, right? What was the other trade that we took earlier? PayPal, right? 1-minute multi-day VWAP to the VWAP. The reversal part didn't happen, but you got the Faux-Show-Bro at prior day VWAP, reason to cover and go long. And all these concepts that are based around two lines. Again, the orange lines are where my pivots were for my stops. Let's just erase those. Look how clean this is. Look how beautiful. It's two lines. And in these two lines navigate the market better than anybody will ever be able to navigate the market. You don't need to listen to analysts, CNBC, Fox News. You don't need to listen to your uncle or your friend that thinks he knows what they're doing. Nobody knows more than VWAP. Nobody. And we, my friend Solid and I, have come up with 4 or 5 scenarios where you can use the VWAP to provide you with winning trades recently that work every time. But when they stop working every time, at least you always have risk reward in your favor. So every once in a while, when these trades don't work, there's small losses and you could take it. No one's going to win on every trade. And what that also does for you is like a trade like SoFi, where we shorted it twice and then it becomes a long. So once you understand market action and price, whoop, I just sold some GSIT. Okay. By the way, is that Q's new highs? Oh, yeah. Q's new highs? Oh, right. Q's new highs. Right. You understand now? Don't short the Q's. But Kenny, I made money shorting the Q's today. Did you? Good luck. Great. Good for you. It's a waste. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of brain power. It's a waste of buying power. In fact, it's a waste. Trade earnings reversals. Trade Faux-Show-Bros, and you'll be on the right side of every trade that you ever take, and crush people who think the market's going down. We're never going down. And let me explain, if you haven't caught on to that concept of why the market never goes down. Let me explain carefully. On May 12th, we had a power gap, which trapped anybody that thought those tariffs meant something. On May 12th, nobody cared, because we got a power gap on May 12th above resistance. So we were going to come into some resistance, as we did. And that was on that Friday. We had the Thursday resistance. Friday we sold off. And then Monday, market said, fuck you. We're gapping above all that shit. Good night. And then that move right there trapped me, the shorter. The long, who was still debating whether or not the coast was clear, they had to make a new decision. And that decision has been made. And that's why we've been rallying nonstop. And every time we pivot, those become new generational lows. Right? So not only do I think we're going to continue to rally because most people are saying we can't keep going up, sure we can. It can't sustain this pace, sure it can. So instead of coming up with all the reasons that the market you think should go down, ask yourself why. Why should it go down? Just because you think it's done something? No. There is no thinking anymore. Rational thought doesn't work anymore. So the only rational thought is that we're about to double from here, which gets you to 1,200 on the Qs. You got something that's about to go up 600 points and you're trying to make $1 on a pullback? Why? Don't do it. So, what I try to do now, and you see how the market's now exploding to the upside, right? Because it spent all morning trapping people, right? Why did we just spike up like that? Because it spent all morning fucking you, deluding you into thinking that there was a chance that we could ever go down, ever again. And all those people just got annihilated again. And that's all they're going to do. All the way to 1,200, and then 1,800, and then 5,000. And if you don't think the Qs are going to see 5,000, wait a second, that's 10x from here. Sure. Why not? Did somebody not? Do I need to remind you that we just entered a new bull market 2 weeks ago? We had a pullback. And it lasted for 3 hours. So now we're good for 3 years. That's been the correlation. Every pullback is met with a 10x move the opposite way. Now, whether or not this becomes the blow-off top for the day, which it could be because that's 60, oh, that was 62.50, 63.50. It won't be because there is no top, right? So that, yeah, that looked like a short hunting little algo right there, which was pretty intense. But nobody's still short because we get out when things break VWAP. So to bring it all home, and I'm going to leave now because that was sick. Shorting is short-lived, and you're going to die. Don't. If you're going to short something, right, make sure it's an earnings fade through the VWAP, confirmed by VWAP, and then you can put a trade on. But always remind yourself, as a shorter, it's never going to last. It's never going to be the big one. Nothing wants to go down, and you're a VWAP break from not just not to cover, but you have to cover, or you're going to be broke. Don't be me. Take it from me. It doesn't work, right? Right? As we're sitting here, you just got reminded, don't short. It doesn't work. But Kenny, we made money on that PayPal short. Yeah, I know, because it was very damn specific. Earnings, profit taking, blue line, orange line. Short's over. Anybody else? Any questions, concerns? So there's a trade that works every single time, and everything else is not just bad for you, it's detrimental to anything that you want to do in life. You want to be delusional, or you want to make money? You want to try to be a hero, or you want to make money? Right? Shorting is not a way to make money over any extended period of time. Intraday, for 12 minutes, 25 minutes, maybe a half an hour, sometimes you get actually an hour or two, and that's it. It's the worst trade. There is nothing worse other than buying options into earnings reports. So what I'm telling you, my friends, and if you want to join us on Thursday night, I'll give you a book too. All right, let me show you this. Well, I'll show it to you on Thursday. My email address is kennyglick@aol.com. That's right, AOL. I'm that old. And on Thursday nights, we have a get-together where we talk about earnings reports and option trades and all that stuff. So last week, we had what we call the Schmooze. And during the Schmooze, I gave out 4 ideas. One, earnings reversal on Intel, which was we were anticipating it to sell off after they reported. Clove, 350 calls. Ford, 1350 calls. Open, $8 calls. Intel, $40 puts. On those 4 trades, if you put just $1,000 on each one of them, at the end of the day, you were up $180,000 on your $4,000. Kenny, are you implying you made 180 grand that day? I'm not implying that. I take profits too quickly to do that. But if you had fallen into a coma, which some people did, some people did much better on these trades than I did. I buy an option at 3 cents, a couple of hundred of them. They go to 6. I usually sell 100 because then my next 100 are free. And then the option went to 50 cents. Suffice it to say, these trades are what I like to prepare for on Thursday nights. It's not about the hero trade, some stock that went up 600%. On options expiration, you have the lovely ability now to trade these weekly options. And some of these options, they have half-point increments. So all a stock has to do is go up 50 cents on a Friday to make 20 or 30 times your money, because you're buying an option that cost a penny or 2 or 3. So if a stock like Clove that went from 350 to 4, the 350s were 1 cent. Most of us bought them at 3 or 4, but some people got them at 2, and they went to 50. So again, if you just, depending on your position in life, and maybe you put up the 2 grand, you said you're going to go for gold, that 2 grand trade turned into $50,000 within an hour and a half, and we had 4 of those, and the Intel, and it was awesome. And if you guys are free on a Thursday night and you like the Grateful Dead, we're going to have we do a 2-hour Grateful Dead set to start the show. And then we do 2 hours of chart crunching and getting ready for Thursday. And then we do some bong rips. And that's right, I'm 53 years old. I still smoke weed. And then we dance the night away. And this week should be fun. It should be a Halloween-themed DJ set. So if any of that interests you, if you'd like to learn more about a trade that hasn't failed me in over 4 years, and obviously over the last 12 years, it's coming in at a massive success rate, considering the last 4 years there hasn't been one loss. Don't short the Qs. Don't do call spreads. Don't sell puts. Don't sell calls. Don't ever do anything naked. Just two awesome trades. Shorting UVXY, as long as you don't go over your head. It's always going down. Shorting UVXY and earnings reversals. And if you just stick to those two ideas, you will never, ever, ever be wanting ever again. Because there's always earnings reversals. UVXY is always going down. Don't short the Qs. Maybe in 2028, maybe 2030. But you just stick to the stuff that works and just keep doing it. And lately, we haven't even had a loss, not even once. It's pretty incredible, friends. I'm assuming some of them won't work as well. And again, a lot of times you have to scale out of the position and then join the other team. But there's never been an easier way to trade. And this is the hardest, easiest thing that anybody could do. It's very frustrating. It's very difficult. But when you see the math behind it and the blatant rigging of the market, you're no longer trying to beat the market. You are the market. And you're just in the ebb and flow of the market. And that's how you make money. Just avoid shorting the Qs. And if anybody tells you, oh, the market's going to do this, no, then nobody knows. Nobody knows. And especially if people are telling you to be worried about something, you run the other direction. There is absolutely nothing to be worried about. We are in a bull market that just began in April. We're only May, June, July, August, September. We're 6 months in. Since when does a bull market last for 6 months? Typical bull markets last for what? 3.5 to 5 years. And if you say, well, we've been in a bull market for the last 20 years, no, we haven't. We crashed in 2000, COVID. And we crashed August 5th of last year, yen carry. Nobody even remembers that one. I got hammered. And then we crashed again. We already had a sell-off. We had a correction in February, which led to the tariff crash. And here we are. Do you think the market's going to crash 3 times in a 360-day period? Why? So, in my opinion, right, a new bull market started on April 9th. And typical bull markets last to 3.5 to 5 years. Let's go. So if you think the Q's going from 400 to 631 is a big deal, you're going to be saying the same thing when they're 800, and then 1,000, and then inevitably 5,000. The market's never stopping its upward trajectory. And if I need to remind anybody, hang on a second. Whatever. I have a chart over the last 150 years of the market, and it's basically a line from the lower left to the upper right. All right, I'm going to skedaddle because I'm very hungry. Nice hanging out with you. If you're interested, all we do is bang out winners every day. This is not my first rodeo. I've been doing this. And again, the genre of chat rooms, I invented it. Most of what we do, I help build. I'm pretty hip to what's going on a daily basis. And if you'd like to see more live, just email me, kennyglick@aol.com. I'll get you a link, and you could be part of what we're doing. All right? Hopefully I'll see you Thursday. It's free. All you got to do is email me, and then we even let you in on Friday for free, and then, inevitably you got to pay to hang out with us because we're special. Small bus special in a way, but special enough. All right? Ryan, I'm out of here. Good seeing you. StockTwits, I'll see you guys soon.